Hello, it's Dr. Victoria Stakelum here with this week's Ask Me Anything. And I've got a question this week based on themes that Locke has raised. So, Locke, this is for you. And the question is for high achievers who are doing all the right things but still not seeing consistent income, what subconscious patterns do you most often see holding them back? And how can they start shifting those in a practical way? So, this is about those people who have been high achievers and then step out into setting our own businesses and the kind of mindset stuff that lurks that can hold us back, particularly when we're struggling to create income. And I can really speak well to this one because this was me 5.5, 6 years ago when I stepped out of corporate leadership and went to build my own business. This was the journey I went on. So I'm going to talk about three traits that I have observed in the early days for myself and since then in the work I do with clients who have been on a similar journey. And I'm going to try and give some hints and tips on how to overcome these things. They're not always easy. Deep-rooted mindset stuff it definitely requires discipline and persistence to overcome it. So the three things I'm going to talk about are the corporate hangover, struggling to invest in ourselves, and the challenge of alignment. So the corporate hangover is a subconscious habit of defaulting to the world we've known, even though we're no longer in that world. So for me, this looked like when I stepped out of corporate leadership, where I was working 50 or 60 hours a week under enormous pressure and didn't really know how to stop. I left that world, ran away to the countryside in Ireland, started my own business, and defaulted to 50 and 60-hour working weeks. I didn't have a boss I was delivering to. There were no one else's deadlines, but that habit of if I'm not really busy, things are not good was so ingrained. And it took me, I think, about a year to think, what's going on here? I don't need to work this way. So observing where your working patterns are a default to the way you've always worked, even though the conditions in which you're working may no longer be the same, is a really important thing to notice. When we are running our own businesses, there is often a fear that if we slow down, income will grind to a halt. But often the very reason income is not flowing is because we're busy, 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 but we're not busy, busy, busy on the right things. So when we talk about high achievers doing the right things, often what we're doing is posting on LinkedIn, making ourselves visible, generating content, you know, keeping the wheels in motion. But if we don't have a really sound infrastructure for turning that visibility into income, it's going to cause problems. And the skill of knowing what is moving the dial in your business and learning how to piece that together and stepping out of yourself and observing the habits you're in so that you can slow down in order to speed up are sometimes just not things that come very naturally when you've spent decades in the hustle and grind of the corporate world or the world of employment where someone's cracking the whip and telling you faster, faster, more, more. When we're running our own business, faster, faster often does not lead to more, more, because we're putting invisible pressure on ourselves, which means we're not at our best. We're not at our most attractive and shiny, so we don't call our folk to us. And we make decisions under pressure. We keep racing to make things happen, failing to step back and observe what's really needed and what's really effective. So watch out for the corporate hangover. That is a classic subconscious habit that shows up for early stage entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and for some of us, it never leaves. Like, you can spend your whole entrepreneur journey working that way. And the same risks are present: burnout, bad decision making, error, risk. So slowing down, breathing. The trick here is to take a step back, review the things you're doing, and ask yourself genuinely which of these things is working, which is moving the dial on creating clients. Because if you're busy, busy doing things that are not creating income, you probably shouldn't be doing them, or there's something else you need to be doing in and around those things to make sure that they become productive from an income perspective. This is something I'm all about at the moment, so feel free to reach out for a conversation. I actually have a small business audit that you can take that will walk you through the different things that usually need to be in place for a business to be sustainable, and might give you a sense of what's missing or what opportunities there are. I'll drop that beneath this video so that you can take a look. So the corporate hangover, working in the ways you always worked, that are about hustle and grind rather than effectiveness and outcomes and value creation, is a real risk. The second risk I see, or the second subconscious habit, is that having stepped away from the security of a salary in order to start our own business, many of us become anxious about investing. So we may need certain tools and skills and training in order to make sure we are successful, but because we're scared of where the next income might be coming from and we're stretching out our redundancy money or our savings, we're really paranoid about taking a chunk of that and investing it into ourselves in order to learn the skills to make our business successful. And this is problematic at a number of levels. The first thing is it leaves us fumbling in the dark for how to do things, that if we just bit the bullet, made an investment and learnt those things, we'd no longer be fumbling in the dark and we'd be able to carve a clear path to success. The second thing that is particularly problematic when you are a coach running your own business is that if you are in the place where scarcity mindset, so fear of future income, or not having enough future income, is preventing you from investing in yourself, there's a really good chance that you will encounter that mirrored back to you in your prospective client conversations. If you do not break through your scarcity fears in order to invest in yourself for transformation, what do you think is going to happen when you're sitting in front of a prospective client and inviting them to invest in themselves in order to experience transformation through coaching? So that mirror effect shows up a lot for early stage coaches. And in my experience, the successful coaches are the ones that bite the bullet, take on their scarcity fear, and make an investment in themselves, because it teaches them skills in not just how to be an amazing coach, but how to run an amazing coaching business, which requires you to not just be brilliant at what you do, but also be brilliant at running a small business and, promoting your services and managing conversations to create clients effectively. So, as well as the importance of developing those skills in order to run a successful business, there's something energetic at play about being able to break through the fear and invest in yourself, that once you've done it, you're better able to support and guide your prospective clients to do the same. And if you find yourself saying, no, it's too expensive, I'll leave it until I've got more money coming in, there's a really good chance that that is the response you will hear from clients a lot of the time, prospective clients. And then the third subconscious pattern I see a lot of is misalignment. So, in my experience, when you come into alignment, everything flows. But often, without realizing it, we're not quite in alignment in the way we're running our business. Maybe we did just take on the corporate 9 to 5 and assume that that's the way we're going to do things. Maybe we did buy into a business coaching program or training and it said, you should do this way, you should post this many times a week, or you should do scarcity marketing, or you should do this or do that. And we're doing it, but we're not really comfortable with doing it. And so we're bringing energetic resistance. Or maybe we've been told that we should sell business to business, even though our heart lies in working with individual clients, consumers. But because we've been told we should pursue business to business, that's what we build our business around. But we don't really enjoy that. We wanted to get away from corporate business. So noticing the decisions you're making around your business and why you are making them, and being really careful not to fall into the trap of running someone else's model or your past self model, or the model that your husband or wife thinks you should be running, or your mum or dad think you should be running, or your cousin who works in the local chambers of commerce tells you should be doing it. There is honestly never one way to succeed, just like there's more than one way to fail. And if you're running someone else's model and it's out of alignment with you and the way you want to live your life, you will probably end up sabotaging yourself in small ways, procrastinating, having to wrestle with resistance, and not creating the easy flowing success that is available if you create alignment. And I suppose in a way, this links back to the corporate hangover point at the beginning, is that's not alignment. That's just an old habit loop playing out. So, subconscious patterns to look out for. Are you in the corporate hangover, working the way you used to work, even though you now work for yourself? Are you allowing your scarcity fears to stop you from investing in yourself and your business to learn and develop the things you need to learn and develop? Not about being a brilliant coach or consultant or HR service provider or psychotherapist or whatever it is that you do, but actually about being able to run that as a sustainable business. Really important skill set. And doing that in a way that represents alignment to you, being really careful and choosy about the decisions you make for your business and making sure they represent alignment. Those are three subconscious habits I would encourage you to look out for. There are loads of others that I could speak to. So if you notice watching this video that you're experiencing other things and you'd like me to give you some tips on how to work with those, then please drop them in the Q&A thread and I will do a video like this on your specific challenges. I am a mindset manifestation coach. My core competency is success mindset, but I'm also a business strategy consultant and can really help unlock business growth, business change that is in alignment and rooted in the principles of success on your own terms. So I hope this has been useful and I'll look forward to answering more of your questions in the weekly Q&A thread. Thanks for watching.